Trojan fans, welcome to another edition of the Peristyle Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Abraham, joined alongside, sitting right next to, we call him Triple Double, but legally, he's Connor Morrissette. And legally, she's automatic, but you could also call her India Otto. She's here with us today, too. We got a fun show for you today. No college football this weekend. I guess the Army-Navy game, we got the Heisman Trophy stuff. But, man, just the regular season ends, and it's just sort of like you fall off a cliff. Like, oh, now what? What's going on? Championship weekend. And now we're waiting for bowl games, playoffs, pictures, all that. We're going to talk about all that kind of fun stuff going in, where USC is right now with the transfer portal, maybe some needs, but also people that have entered the portal and which players we think could play in the bowl game. We got some Notre Dame talk to get to, too. They've been kind of dominating the college football headlines. So Connor can admit how he was wrong about how he needed Notre Dame needs USC. I'm sure he'll admit that.
I'm not wrong about that.
He's 100% wrong. We'll
win one of their first games, they're in. There's nothing to do with USC.
With just the sentiment now, where the Fighting Irish are, I think they need this game a lot more.
You want to get into this right now? No, they're guaranteed if they're in the top 12. They're in no matter what now, so they don't have to schedule anyone.
Well, there's a problem. We'll get into all that. We'll get into that stuff. We will convince you how wrong you have been, which is very, very, very wrong. But we're going to have a fun show for you today. If you have comments or questions, podcast at uscfootball.com. That's our email address. You can call or text us at 424-254-9141. I forget if we have a voicemail loaded. I think we might have one over there, so India can check. Apple Podcast, Spotify. Leave us a 5-star rating. We love that. You can leave us a review on Apple and on Spotify. You can make comments on individual shows. Didn't have any new reviews last I checked. I'll check on Spotify and stuff too. But we are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. And if you want to put your comments on the screen, I can. India, did you pull that up? The social thing. Okay, I forgot to put that up for her. But yeah, India's got it. We got a couple emails to get to later on. But yeah, it should be a fun show. How are you guys doing? You having a good day?
Yes,
it's
great.
Beautiful here in Southern
California.
Ready
to go. It is.
I'm doing well. Also, talked to Shotgun earlier for our basketball podcast, so show number 2 today for me. But yeah, hanging in there, doing well. Excited for the Alamo Bowl, which we'll talk about. Excited for the transfer portal, all the moving and shaking with that. Some stuff to look ahead to here.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. India, you look happy.
I'm excited. I'm ready to go. It's a great day, as you said. Talk some USC football, transfer portal. It's exciting.
Well, thanks for everyone for being in there in the chat. Jump in there if you have questions or comments. India would love to put them up on the screen because that's what we do. That's how we do it here.
That's what we do.
But yeah, Connor mentioned it. USC is playing TCU, Texas Christian University, out of the Big 12 Conference in the Valero Alamo Bowl. That's going to be December 30th. Is that a Wednesday? I think it's a Wednesday.
I think it's a Wednesday.
I think so.
I think it's like at 8 p.m.
No, it's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday? Is it 8 p.m. Central start, like 6 p.m.
Yep.
Local start, so more of an evening kind of game. USC's never played in the Alamo Bowl. It's cool, and we were even talking before the show. The bowl affiliations for the Pac-12 are still in play, and what we had reported on, I put this in the war room. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you check out uscfootball.com. I think we're still under 50% off right now, which is a great deal. Go check it out. But what I've been saying over the last couple of weeks is we had heard even before the UCLA game, the Alamo Bowl was USC's 99% destination. The issue was going to be, or not issue, but the uncertainty was going to come with who USC's opponent was going to be. And BYU, if they didn't make the playoff, was desirable, and certainly that's a team that's won 11 games already. Like, I think that's a good test. But BYU played in the Alamo Bowl last year, so there was, for what we had heard, that probably wasn't going to happen. With Houston, that was a potential too. I know some people projected that, but when I ran it by sources at USC, they didn't think Houston was going to be, the selection there. And then Iowa State was one that we had heard as well. But when Matt Campbell
they opted out,
yeah, so they leave, and then they're not even going to a bowl game now. So they, like Connor said, they opted out of a bowl game. So that didn't happen. And I think recently some people even were projecting or reporting that BYU was going to be the opponent, but we had continued to hear that the Alamo Bowl wasn't really keen on that. And I didn't really hear about TCU until really close to when it was announced. So that was like the next one there. So USC, Sonny Dykes and Lincoln Riley have a history. So with the Mike Leach tree and all that. So there's some fun stuff there. And I think they've only played one time before, right? And it was we had a thread on the Peristyle, the 1998 Sun Bowl, where USC was not all that interested in going there, and TCU ran for over 300 yards, and USC had like minus 28 or something like that. I forget what the exact numbers were, but it was a bad showing for the Trojans, and TCU at that point, they were just kind of becoming like what they were. They had, you might have heard of a guy like LaDainian Tomlinson. He wasn't even their main back at the time, but he was on that team. So, stud there. And TCU, I think it was their first bowl win in like 41 years. So this was sort of like helped TCU, like now they're on the map, now they're in a Power 4 conference. But that game was like something that sort of springboarded them. But USC didn't have a whole lot of interest. I think USC is going to have a lot of interest in this game. But I know some USC football fans have been around a while, the Hackett years. There's bad memories of playing TCU in a bowl game.
Fun fact, that was my first football jersey, a LaDainian Tomlinson 21 Chargers jersey.
Oh,
Dark
nice.
Navy, so fun fact there.
There you go. I like it, India. I can give you 60 quick seconds here on
Perfect.
TCU. So who the heck's going to play? That's the million-dollar question in all these games. Their starting quarterback, Josh Hoover, had a nice year, threw for over 3,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, 13 picks. They have two good receivers, Eric McAllister, and then a guy USC fans might remember, Jordan Dwyer from the portal was their number 2 receiver this year. USC was interested in him. He instead chose to go to TCU. And then their third receiver, Joseph Manjack, who actually started his career at USC.
Yeah.
They have a decent offensive line, not much of a running game. The big story with TCU is their offensive coordinator, the son of Art Briles, is Kendall Briles, right? Yeah, I don't want to mess that up. Art's the older guy.
Yes.
So Kendall Briles is now the offensive coordinator at South Carolina, so he won't be leading that offense for Sonny Dykes against USC. And then defensively, a former Cal linebacker has had a good year for TCU, Caleb Elam's, or he might not play, though, because he's a senior. So we got to figure out who's playing and who's not playing. But the spark notes on TCU, good passing game, not a great running game, okay defense, but it's a team that USC should beat. TCU 8-4 in the Big 12. Obviously, USC 9-3 coming out of the Big 10. I know USC will be undermanned with Mekhi Lemon probably not playing, as well as a few other guys, but I like this matchup a lot for USC, and if they're focused and they have guys who are ready to show the staff that, hey, I can contribute next year, if they use this game as an audition like they have the past couple years, I think USC has a great chance to win. And I give Lincoln Riley credit for approaching the bowl games the way he has, because we do see a lot of times teams just throw in the towel. A lot of the guys don't care, but this staff's done a nice job of motivating the team ahead of the bowl games, and that's why they've won the last 2.
Yeah, no, it's been a positive, and I think definitely conference championship games. There's a lot of flack about do we need them, bowl games in general, and we see teams sort of no show and not really care as much. And to Lincoln Riley's credit, I think they cared about the Cotton Bowl. They end up losing to Tulane, and that was a tough pill to swallow. That was the big one you wanted to win, but I think the last couple of years, and especially last year, where you could bookend your season with wins over SEC programs, I think that was something you could build on. And so I'm with you. I give Lincoln Riley credit for being able to get his teams up. They've had opt-outs. I mean, 2 years ago where Caleb Williams is on the sidelines but not playing, and he's the first guy to celebrate with Miller Moss when he was had a good bowl game, and that sort of he got into his career by being able to start that bowl game and all that. So I think they've done a good job of making the bowl game something, however you're going to motivate your players and your team, they get motivated about it. And if you get a bunch of guys opt out, if your best receivers opt out, whatever it is, hey, there's younger guys and people waiting in the wings. And if it's a return of Jade Mayava and he's going to play and stick around, like you can rally around that. There's a lot of things you can make positives out of the bowl game. So I give Riley credit too for doing that, because not everyone's doing it, and a lot of teams they don't seem to really care. I think USC does, and it's something you can build on. I think the 15 extra practices matter. And I feel like it's something that, yeah, the system's weird. Maybe it's changing. Maybe it goes away. But for now, you want to use those practices.
And I think Jaden Mayava will play. We'll have to see when that officially gets announced. But I expect him to be out there for USC. So that is a nice addition for them because you never really know what's going to happen this day and age with the portal and the NFL draft and stuff. But if he's out there, that would be a significant addition. And then King Miller, of course, it's an opportunity for a lot of the players who are for sure coming back to shine. Everyone on the offensive line besides Big General Reed has the chance to come back. King Miller will be out there. I wonder if Wayman Jordan would take a chance and play. If he's 100% healthy, then why not? But if there's any risk with him, I wouldn't throw him out there. Big opportunity for some of USC's receivers because we don't expect Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane to play at this time. So Tanook Hines, he would become that wide receiver number one. You wonder about a guy in Lake McCree who's going to be an NFL draft pick. Does he play in this game with his injury history? I wonder how he is weighing that decision because he seems like a guy who would want to play, but maybe that's not in his best interest, so then you'll get some of Walker Lyons. The bottom line is, even if there are opt-outs and guys who are injured, whatever, I think USC has enough talent, enough guys coming back, enough contributors who are underclassmen this year to still go out and win this game.
Yeah, I like the matchup there. I don't know, India, if there's a equivalent where it's like, oh, maybe you don't make the NCAA tournament, but you're making a postseason thing, and it's like, are people motivated to play? And
WNIT, my sophomore year, I think it was, or maybe my sophomore or junior year. I was in college for so long, but we didn't make the NCAA tournament, but we got a bid for the WNIT, and our team chose not to go. It really just depends. Like if you know that there's going to be like mass turnover happening, teams and people don't usually want to play because they want to just get themselves in the portal and try to figure out where they want to go next.
Yeah.
But if it's a team that, rebuilding year or something and you don't make the tournament and you make the WNIT or NIT for men, and you're excited about the group and exactly what you said, it gives you more opportunities to build chemistry and to have extra practices and people, are excited to play. So it really just depends. I guess on the situation of the program.
And I think with basketball, it's a little different too, because there's a lot of times, if you come in as a freshman and you're good, you play.
Yeah.
In football, there's more, there needs to be more development. Sometimes it's physical development, just like guy's got to add 35 pounds or whatever. And so those practices, you can kind of work on that where, if you were a freshman and you're buried on the roster, it's like, oh, those extra practices for the WNIT, you're not going to be like a starter next year. They probably bring in another freshman that's better than you and comes in and plays anyway. So maybe it's a little bit different.
It is a little different, but some similarities.
Yeah, there's some, but I like we said, I give credit to Lincoln Riley because there's definitely a lot of programs that just don't get motivated for bowl games. And I think you're trying to rebuild things to get them back. These are great stepping stones. And I think, this is an opportunity to get to double-digit wins. So that's where you want to be.
That's another good argument. And then defensively, maybe a guy like Anthony Lucas opts out of this game. Not saying that's the case, but if he does, then we could see someone like a Jaden Ramos, a true freshman edge rusher. What does he have coming into his sophomore season next year? He was a guy when they had that closed-door scrimmage, Ryan. I forget if you were there before the season started. I think you might have been on vacation. He had 6 sacks in this closed-door scrimmage. He was incredible.
He was unreal.
Yeah, India was there. So now we'll get the chance potentially to see what he looks like because USC just doesn't have a lot of edge rushers with Gus Cordova entering the portal. If Lucas opts out, then you're just looking at Cameron Fountain and Braylon Shelby. So they'll have to play Ramos, I would imagine, a little bit. Maybe they opt to have Devin Tompkins and Jakeem Stewart play edge rusher. Stewart might be hurt, though, so that'll be something to pay attention to. It sounds like Eric Gentry really wants to play. He wants to give it one more go in the Cardinal and Gold, even though he has his concussion history. So I expect him to be out there, but you also have a lot of young linebackers who can play in Desmond Stevens and Jaden Walker. In the secondary, it's the same situation where we'll see Christian Pierce, we'll see Kennedy Urlacher, we'll see Alex Graham, we'll see Marcellus Williams. DeCarlos Nicholson feels like a guy who'll want to play in the game, even though he's going to get some NFL looks as well. I think the most appealing part of this game for me is to see what the next generation looks like. And last year against Texas A&M, we didn't see a ton of that. It was the Mekhi Lemon and the Jacoby Lane show, which we were all sort of expecting. I hope some guys who we haven't seen a whole lot of this year get some time against TCU. That would be my expectation.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, but it sounds like just if we're spitballing this, Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, like likely not going to
Likely not playing.
Kamari Ramsey, Bishop Fitzgerald, like seems likely. Gentry would be a candidate for that, but it sounds like he would want to play. And, Lincoln Riley said you will know in the coming weeks. I'm like, the game's in the coming weeks. So we'll definitely, I was like, the coming weeks? Like, yes, we'll definitely know in the coming weeks because you got to play the game. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of other people that would potentially not play in this one. Like if a Wayman Jordan doesn't play, it's more just like coming off the injury. But there's no penalty as far as like if a player has played 4 games and is looking to redshirt.
Yep.
You can play in the bowl game and it doesn't hurt you. It doesn't count against you. So, there's that. So, is there other people besides the ones you just mentioned that you think might not play in this one?
It would be Ramsey, Fitzgerald, maybe Nicholson, but I feel like he's a guy who will want to be out there.
Yeah, he seems like it.
Gentry. Devin Tompkins is a guy who could go to the NFL or could come back, so he would be another one. Anthony Lucas, like I mentioned. Keyshawn Silver could potentially opt out. He was the former 5-star recruit, so even though he wasn't the most productive player, I imagine he'll get some NFL looks, but he seems like a guy to me who would want to be out there, so not totally sure on his status. Big General Reed is in that same boat where I expect him to play, even though he is an older guy on the offensive line. And then the 2 receivers we think will probably be out. Lake McCree is another interesting case.
Oh, yeah, he could potentially, but I kind of feel like he would play.
I agree. Jade Maava, we both feel like is going to be out there. So I think those are most of the guys. Wayman Jordan, I agree with you. If he is out, it's injury-related rather than NFL-related. I don't think last year they gave us the list of opt-outs and we had to do some digging on our own. I remember Lincoln Riley being like, well, we'll give you a list. That didn't happen. So
no.
I wonder if this year they'll be a little bit more transparent. That would be nice.
Yeah, probably not. Props to India, by the way, because as you were rattling off names, she had their pictures up on the screen. So
there you go, India.
It's like, it's kind of organized, but it's not that organized. Usually it's this time of season. I'll try to organize it in the off season, like all the pictures that we have, but it's usually by game. So there's like, here's the UCLA game. And before that is,
I'm like squinting trying to read the names, but I think I got it.
Oh, see, it's not just my eyes that are.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for doing that. Well, I guess we can get into anyone that's entered the portal is not going to play in the game. And so if you are on USCfootball.com, Chris Trevino is doing his portal tracker. This is, a live departure article. It's a living, breathing article that we keep updating as new players in. And as of now, there are 11 players that are in the portal. Now, just keep in mind, the portal does not open until January 2nd. It's open for 15 days. They changed this rule. So there used to be 2 portal windows. Now there's only 1. It's in January. So all these players have declared, usually like a social media post, that I'm going to enter the portal. So, it doesn't mean that they are, but so there's a list of 11 guys. I don't know. The last one that went in was Garrison Madden, the linebacker. For the most part, it's dudes that haven't played much or contributed much. And there's a couple guys you're like, okay, they either contributed or potentially could more in the future. Maybe as far as, Michael Benuelos, the offensive lineman, had started some games. There were some rumors about him going in the portal. Brian Jackson, he looked like he was going to redshirt and probably transfer out. And then you get all the injuries and he ends up coming out of sort of semi-retirement for the year where we shut it down. And he, ended up playing a bunch and scoring some more touchdowns and stuff. So that wasn't really his plan, it seemed like. But he's going into the portal kind of as expected. It's just he thought he'd be redshirting this year, and he ended up playing a bunch. Matai Togiai, like he got a lot of run on special teams, and as a freshman, you feel like okay, he's someone that could be a contributor going forward. But I don't know if anyone stands out to you. Any notes on any of those guys and anyone else that was sort of like, wow, I'm surprised that guy went in.
The only surprise to me is Matai Tagawai, the linebacker who you were talking about. Because
Tagawai? Why do I say Togiai? I don't know. Like
it's a tricky last name, so yeah. I give you some.
I thought we said that when we were doing the recruiting process. I thought it was like Togiai, and then they changed it. Something I don't know.
So it's one of those TAGOA'. So Tago-a-I.
Tago-a-I. Okay.
Or Tagawai. That's how
Tago'ai.
it is. I'm telling you how to pronounce it. I'm getting it wrong, but it's Tago'ai. That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't have to be saying it for much longer because he's transferring. So, yeah, that's the one surprise. He was a guy who, like you said, played on special teams a lot, but at the end of the year was getting some run with the first team defense. He forced a fumble in one of those games. It might have been in garbage time against Michigan, I think. So I am bummed to see him leave. He was the second-ranked defensive recruit in that 2025 class behind Jakeem Stewart. But it's not like he was your starting Mike linebacker. It's not like he's Desmond Stevens who's leaving. So he's one for the future who that hurts to see him go. A little bit of an undersized linebacker. But the fact that he was getting snaps at the end of the year shows that he was a loss. It's just a striking difference between where USC's been the last couple of years with the portal to now, where none of these guys really did much of anything this year outside of Banuelos and Jackson, like you talked about. But like, it's not like it's Zachariah Branch leaving or Deuce Robinson. These are guys who were mostly, with all due respect, roster filler, like Micah Banuelos next season. The starting guards are going to be Alani Noah and either Tobias Raymond or Justin Tawanu'u, who beat out Banuelos already this year. So he's going to be in his third or fourth year. He's going to want to start. It doesn't really make sense for him to come back. Brian Jackson all of a sudden is facing a huge competition at running back with Wayman Jordan potentially coming back, and then King Miller, and then some of the younger guys who they've brought in. So him leaving makes sense. Everyone else really hasn't played much. Carlon Jones is in the same boat where it's just a logjam at the defensive line spot. And this is Chad Bowden. This is that personnel staff. This is Lincoln Riley. I don't want to say trimming the fat. That's kind of a rude way of looking at it, but like none of these guys were real impact players or projected to be outside Tago'ai. And so I see some people really upset about him leaving. If you're going to lose one guy who had the chance to be pretty good, I don't think that's a huge loss. The rest of the guys, we kind of know what their ceilings are, or they've disappointed a little bit. So I think it's a great sign that they've lost these 11 guys and not anyone more important.
Yeah, I guess Braylon Conley, there was some potential there.
True, that's another good name. But, I mean, he had a chance to start. He earned a starting job, had a terrible game against Illinois, and lost it. So was he someone people looking ahead to next year were like, oh, man, watch out for Conley. He's going to have a huge year. I don't think so. So another guy who didn't project to necessarily be a starter a year from now, he would have competed and been in the mix, but I don't look at him as a huge loss either.
No, and I think it's a good point too that you're bringing up as far as like, yes, this is the new personnel staff, Chad Bowden and the entire staff there. Retention is a big part of their job, and I know people are like, oh, I just want to keep everybody, and I don't think you can, but you're not seeing the former 5 stars that were like, they're going to go. I don't know if any of those guys are going to go star somewhere else. I would highly doubt it. I didn't, Deuce Robinson, I think, led Florida State in receiving yards or something.
Yeah, one of the top receivers in the country. Same with Zachariah Branch.
Yeah, Zachariah Branch had a big, and they had their struggles, and there was a problem having that many wide receivers, I think, in the room, and you saw what Lane and Lemon were able to do on their own. I think USC did fine as far as receivers go, but you're not seeing those kind of departures, and you're not going to get everybody. And the stories we're hearing out of USC, and there's like, hey, this is all strategic and stuff, which I think it is. It's definitely strategic, and you might lose a couple guys that you'd want, but I think they're not losing a bunch. And I think Emmanuel Pregnon.
That's the best example.
Like if Chad Bowden was around, they would have figured out a way. As long as it made financial sense to keep Pregnon, they would have pushed the limits to like, hey, we didn't want to keep this guy. And then, if anything, maybe it forces Oregon to offer even more money. And if there's going to be a limit too, you're like, hey, we really like you, we want to keep you, but we're not going to pay double what we think you're worth. I think there's hard decisions that need to be made. I don't think any of these are like hard decisions that are leaving, but if somebody that is really important leaves, then it might be because of, hey, we think that this is what this person should be getting paid, and they're getting double that somewhere else, so we're not going to go in those waters. But they're not going to let somebody walk because of incompetence. That's what's happening before with USC. They didn't know that the person wasn't happy. I think this personnel staff has their feelers out. They understand what everybody's doing, where they're feeling, if someone's unhappy or not. And they're unhappy, but you want them to stay, then you need to give them a little TLC. I think they're smart people making smart decisions. It doesn't mean you're going to keep everybody. There might be a couple guys in that out of 11 that you really would have liked to keep, and for whatever reason they didn't want to stay, and that's fine. Like it's not gonna, you're not gonna bat 1,000 on this, but there's so much more intelligence going into what they're doing behind the scenes and trying to keep all the guys that they really want. I think you have to give credit to the personnel staff. This is why you need like full-time people doing this stuff. They understand this roster. They understand what's coming in from the number one recruiting class. Who could be big contributors. So like if realistically, like Matai was someone you might want to keep around. He might have his reasons for going, and I don't know how strategic that one is, but for the most part, it's like this is all strategic stuff. So this is why you have a great personnel staff, because it's not just about the talent acquisition. It's like evaluating your own roster. You're like self-scouting, and these are the dudes we want to keep, and we know what this is worth and how much we're going to pay and how to make everybody happy. And retention is a big part of it. And just seeing this list compared to the list last year, it's like night and day. So there might be a guy or two you don't like if you're a USC fan. I wish he wasn't good. In general, just feel better about this is being done. There's smart people making good decisions on how to make this work, and you're seeing the results of that.
I'm with you 100% on that. Tagawai is the one guy they might have seller's remorse on, I could see. But
yeah.
Quick thing, somebody said they were trying to call in, but the number said it's currently turned off for calls.
Yeah, we're not taking calls. It's a podcast. It's not tunnel vision.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, we could turn it on if you want, but probably not.
No,
Like,
I just wanted you to give
yeah,
it
yeah.
update.
So we're not doing live calls on the podcast. Like maybe we will, like in the off season, but we typically save that for tunnel vision. You can leave us a voicemail, not 5124 tunnel, but the voicemail number is 424-254-9141. I'm not going to get it for this show, but for future shows, if you want to, we'd love to hear from you. You can put them on there,
or you could put a question in the chat.
Yeah,
exactly.
Put your question in the chat, and India will pull it up there.
And then we also
Ooh.
have a super chat. El Gordo Flaco. Good show, good analysis. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, El Gordo Flacco.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
It's really nice of you, yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of Tackett Curtis chat in
Yes.
the chat. I don't think they want to bring him back. He wasn't
Did he go in the portal?
that great
Yeah.
at Wisconsin.
Or he's going to go in the portal? Yeah. Yeah, there's these names that pop up, like, Tackett Curtis for sure, but Joseph Manjack, like, holy cow. People, because we used to be able to watch, I don't know if it was spring, I can't remember, but we could watch all the practices. We're up on I think we got to watch him up on top of like where the aquatic center is, for the pool. And maybe it was spring, or there might have been some fall camp ones we could watch, but he made a lot of plays, and sometimes you watch guys that are like, he wasn't a walk-on, but you have some walk-on and you watch a bunch of practices, and someone that doesn't know what's going on, like, wow, that guy's really good. I'm like, yeah, that's a walk. Like, he's not going to do much. But Manjack was someone that a lot of people had like, wow, this guy's going to be amazing,
He was at Houston before TCU too, right?
Houston, yeah, he might have been. I think at least 3 places. It might be in another one too, but
Gotcha.
yeah. So, but that name pops up, and that's someone that fans like got excited about. Like, oh man, and then that didn't. I think. Where else was he? It was
USC, Houston, and TCU. Yep.
Okay. He's how many years? This is like, what year was it? He was at USC in
He was like when I was there.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I remember him being there when I was
Oh,
there.
you remember? Yeah.
He had a nice year. TCU's third receiver, 41 catches, 551 yards, 3 scores. A serviceable power 4 wide receiver.
Yeah. Manjack the 4th. But no, some fans like fell in love with him early on back in 2021. That was why am I blanking on his name? The OC that went to Purdue, and then he brought him up. Why am I blanking?
Harrell?
Yeah, Graham Harrell. I think Graham Harrell was the OC then, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, if you're in the chat, we got like 125 people watching. Yeah, do you remember Manjack? But there was a lot of man crushes on Manjack, if I remember correctly.
Well,
That's fitting.
if he ends up playing in this bowl game, you'll get to watch him one more time. All the
Exactly.
people who liked watching him.
It is funny to go back and look at just names. Like time goes by quick, but then you're like, wait, that person's still around, or that. If you're just watching, like for the Indianapolis Colts, they've had so many injuries, and Phillip Rivers is did a workout, I guess, for them.
No
and
way.
Someone
Out of
He
retirement?
signed.
he signed with them.
What?
And somebody put like I forget what year it was. It might have been 90. I mean, this was a long time ago, but they showed was a matchup between like Florida State and NC State, and it was Chris Wenke versus Phillip Rivers. You're like, this guy's like gonna still be around. Like it's insane, like how And that's not the case for like a Manjack, but someone that's been around like a long time.
I saw something about. Do you guys remember Britton Allen from USC?
Yeah.
He's like still in college, and he was literally like my year. Like we came in as freshmen together, and I was like, "How are you still playing?" I was confused, but I think he had a couple injuries. But I'm like, at a certain point, I think it's the shelf life is. It's time to just put up the cleats.
We're finally past the like pandemic year because that was a free one for everybody.
Yeah,
right?
that's so that's why I was still confused. He was
we're getting past it now. I think this
he was
is
at
the
Utah
last.
or somewhere, and I was like, how do you still have eligibility left? I don't know. It's
USC
crazy.
basketball's leading scorer, Chad Baker-Mazera, is going to be 26 next month.
Which is just nuts.
Really?
Yeah, I had a teammate who was 28 because she was from Europe, so it's a little bit different. But we always used to call her grandma. I guess we were like, you're so
at
old.
28, or whatever. But yeah, if you're in college,
crazy.
Yeah. Okay. So portal stuff.
How about signing day? You like USC going 35 for 34?
Yeah, not bad.
No flips, getting everyone and a bonus in Caden Dixon-Wyatt. We were on the air during signing day. I think everyone but Mark Bowman had signed when we were doing our show.
When we were doing our show, yeah.
And then they get him across the finish line. We wrote a story about that, why he was going back and forth between LSU and USC at the end. You can go back and read that if you'd like. But the whole staff, from Riley to Bowden to all the assistants to the personnel people, it's not easy going 35 for 34. And their strategy of front-loading a lot of those deals for the best players and paying them before the House settlement went through, just seeing that vision become a reality was huge. And this does feel like a turning point to me with USC. A little later than we all would have liked, but I think you got to tip your cap to what they did last Wednesday. That was an exceptional day for USC.
Yeah, the fact that, I mean, they had the number one class, and it was a lot of the early stuff. And like Connor mentioned, if you remember, the House settlement was going to go into effect July 1st. So you could do NIL deals with high school players before that without any scrutiny.
Is that true? So I keep interrupting you again. Sorry, but like, I don't know if that is the College Sports Commission going to have anything to say about that. Like, I don't know if it's totally by the book, but that's what we wanted them to do. Just go out, pay the guys, get them on the team. Like, I don't care what it looks like. If the College Sports Commission comes and hammers them, that would be too bad. But this is just what they needed to do.
But they didn't have those rules in place.
Exactly.
We knew what they were going to be, or you kind of, and they put this together late, but we thought they should even delay it more. And I know talking to people in the athletic department, they're like, we got to we have to change, like it's a systematic, like just fundamentally change how we're going to treat student athletes by paying them. And they were like a month or two out, and they're like didn't have all the rules yet. You're like, we have to start paying these guys like and they haven't even given us the rules yet. Like budgets are done years in advance, all this stuff. So it was a challenge. And so I think I give USC a lot of credit for like seeing what they needed to do and then front loading things up. And then they had the number one class, and you're like, oh, they'll, whatever. They'll probably drop down to 3, which would have been fine, but they end up adding a few more pieces and being able to hold on to it for the end. I think Alabama slipped up to number 2. Oregon was trying to flip that other wide receiver from Ohio State. What's his name?
Chris Henry.
Yeah, Henry. And they could have potentially taken over the number 1 spot. Well, they might have lost somebody if they flipped him. So I don't know, but it didn't matter. Like the fact that USC was top 3, but holding on to the number 1 spot is pretty nice. It's the first time a non-SEC school had the number 1 recruiting spot since 2008, I believe it was. So that's a big deal, and I think it's something that you can build on. Nothing like fell away as far as like, oh, they went out early and signed a bunch of guys, or got these guys committed, and then 2 months later they all dropped out. No, everyone stayed on. Like they had a problem. They fulfilled everything. Where they've had some big name verbals in years past that just kind of go away, and these ones didn't. So again, I think it's having a great personnel staff to go along with this coaching staff and the administration. They all had to work together, and this is the result.
It's fun too because there's some guys in this class. There are some guys in this class who will be able to help you in that first year where even if Kenai Pepe isn't a starter on the offensive line, he's going to push your offensive tackles to be
He's on the 2 deep.
play at a different level. Yeah, exactly. And then USC is a gaping hole at slot receiver. Well, they signed the best high school receiver in California, and Trent Mosley, who plays as a slot guy. I think he could contribute as a first-year player. And then on the defensive line, they expect Luke Wayfield to contribute as a first-year player. There's some guys in the middle who could potentially help, kind of like we saw with Jakeem Stewart and Floyd Boucard this year. You see in the secondary, Albert Hill, they expect to play right away as a corner, whether it's the nickel spot or whether he takes over for DeCarlos Nicholson. He's expected to start as a first-year guy. Not everyone will play in that first year, but when you have the number one class and you sign the guys that USC signed, you're going to see some of those true freshmen have big roles. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing which ones can come in and play. And I just think this is such a boost for the Riley tenure and just for USC in general. What's the best way to win championships? Look at what Georgia did. Kirby Smart got there. They recruited at the highest level possible. They knocked on the door a few times, and then they won a couple. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. And then, the next step is going to be, this was majoring in high school. You get the number one class. Chad Bowden said we're going to major in high school recruiting. Boom. You did that. Minor in the portal. Is there some news?
Breaking news, India. Can you hit the sounder?
Yeah. Hold on. Where?
Michigan has fired Sharon Moore. Maybe some of those crazy rumors were true. Oh, my God. I don't want to get into them on this live YouTube show, but look up some of the rumors. You can find them all over the message boards. And he gets fired today. That's a big one.
Wow.
Wow. That's not a perform. I mean, would they go 9? Were they 9-3? I think they were.
Yeah. He made some mistakes, I think.
Dang. Well, that's kind of crazy.
Life can change like that.
And this is the real Pete Thamel account. This is not a crazy one. Yeah.
It's not a parody account?
Not a parody account.
Wow.
For Dan Wetzel and Adam Schefter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
That's
they're all
legit.
like, and Tennessee set to hire Jim Knowles. So he's going from Penn State to
Another one.
it's not like really news for us because it's like Tennessee, but yeah, that's pretty wild.
Wow.
Sharon Moore is out. USC doesn't play Michigan, right?
Not next year.
No, because they played them 2 years in a row. But at least they got a win against them before.
Yeah.
You felt like he was more of a transition guy anyway to go out of the Harbaugh years. But this is a weird time to, you got to be on portal watch. So those guys can go into the portal now. There's some opportunities. And I think that was a good transition because, I was talking about minoring in the portal. And I know there's a lot of fans on our message boards and people talk about they want to bring in all these dudes. And you can bring in guys. And I think, minoring the portal just means they're not going to this is obviously building the roster with the high school recruiting class you're bringing in, but you can still bring in impact players. I think Connor and I talked about this as well. He did a really good breakdown of, the guys Oregon brought in the portal and how most of them were just like contributors and USC brought in more bodies. Well, now your bodies are in the high school class if there's just guys that aren't playing right away. And you can focus on when you bring someone in the portal, it's an impact guy. And maybe there's some opportunities with, Michigan firing their head coach and some guys going to the portal. But I'm curious to see how this comes together. Now, the portal isn't open, like I said, till January 2nd, so it'll be after the bowl game and all that. But you hear names, and I don't know if there's names that have gone in that you think USC could be in on or any position groups you think that USC is going to go after. But it'll be interesting to see where USC does go in the portal. And I think it's a potential with the schedule that USC has next year. You bring 5, 6, 7 impact guys, it could make a big difference.
Oh, it can make a huge difference. And something we've talked a lot about on the show is last year they were afraid to go after guys for the fear of hurting players on the current roster because they didn't want to upset people in some certain spots. Like you got to get over that mindset. You just got to bring in the best possible guys. David Bailey is a first-team All-American on every publication you look at, the Texas Tech edge rusher who transferred from Stanford. And we remember last year the word from USC was, oh, we're not looking at him. We're happy with our options. It's like, well, actually, you could have used a guy like that. Even if you couldn't financially compete with Texas Tech, it would have been nice to make an effort at a guy like that. So I'm with you, Ryan. You need to – it doesn't have to be quantity. You got to get some quality pieces here because that's the most important thing to get you over the top. Like, you need some impact players who can help you – next year and make a push against that really tough schedule. You brought up Oregon. Like, Oregon pretty much hit on everyone outside of that running back they got from Tulane. Every other player was massive for them, especially in that USC game. 5, 6 massive additions, key guys. Like, I know you just got the number one class. You extended yourself financially. I don't know how much money is left, but that's where you need to be to compete at the highest level. And USC keeps saying that's where they want to be at. I'd like to see them put their money where their mouth is and go out and bring in some impact guys.
Yeah. Curious to see what they do. Brandon Marcello from CBS is saying that he was fired for cause. I didn't read. Yeah. So like you were mentioning, so this is like no buyout.
It's gonna come out
for sure. It said, I saw another tweet that said they've been investigating obviously something internal for the past few weeks. So
yeah, I think I don't know if you had mentioned it or maybe I mentioned it on the show, like one of the rumors, and I was like, oh no, maybe that's not true or something, but or maybe there was I don't know, but yeah, that's.
I don't want to throw shade at our fellow 247 site, but the Michigan site was adamant. This rumor is not true. He's not getting fired. Like you can't be such a homer that you got your goggles on that you can't see through when stuff is real and when stuff isn't real. Like that's a big miss for the Michigan site that they refuted this a week ago. And
I didn't realize that they did that. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Well, that's a little newsy stuff. There's always news in college football.
I wonder who will take over. Best.
Well, they got to nail the hire now. Like you can't mess that up again.
No, you can't.
Oh my goodness!
But to be in this is sort of like where
after the signing period too.
Yeah,
like you're out.
Well, UCLA had to get somebody in like January, February, right when Chip Kelly left. And they bring in Deshaun Foster, but as far Sherrone Moore, I'm not saying he's UCLA's Deshaun Foster, but he was the internal candidate that they promoted. But he had been an interim. I mean, he beat Ohio State twice or whatever, like as the interim head coach, I think, or once, whatever. But like he's, so now it's like you got to do a coaching search. We just saw Penn State go through like a 2-month coaching search where they were getting killed for it because it was bad. But then they end up getting a really good coach in Matt Wells that a lot of people felt like should have been the first call they made anyway. So I think Penn State sort of salvaged that where you made I think they made a really good hire. It was just the process was not the smoothest. But if you get the best result and however your process is, like, if you're in the kitchen and, there's a mess everywhere and you're cracking eggs and you're not in the right spot, but the cookies come out great and you're like, all right, well, it looked like crap while you were making it, but somehow you made it work,
Yeah.
It was a bad process, but you get like a good result.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what Michigan does now.
Somebody in the chat said Brian Kelly firing up the jet.
Yes, Brian Kelly. One of Barrett Sallee said Michigan coach Lane Kiffin. Lane leaves. I don't know. Could this start like dominoes going again? Do they hire a sitting head coach from somewhere? Heck, Penn State hired Iowa State's head coach not that long,
Marcus Freeman?
I don't think he'd go to Michigan.
No.
You never know when a coach will be good and when they won't. Like, just because Campbell was such a low target for Penn State, like he was so low on their list, maybe not even on the initial list. Like, wasn't Pete Carroll pretty low on USC's list?
He was like fourth. Yeah,
exactly. Like, you just never know how it's all going to shake out. So I have a hard time judging the coaching stuff unless you know it's going to be an abject disaster right away. Then you can call it like you see it. But it's hard to be like home run. Like, how many times have we said home run higher and the guy it hasn't worked out?
No,
like,
yeah,
you just never
or
know.
vice versa. Like, oh, who's this guy? And then they're great.
Yeah, like even like you were talking about for Oregon that the running back transfer, you thought like he would have been.
He was going to be amazing.
He would be the one that's like if anyone doesn't, he'll be the surefire one. He's the only one that didn't really do much. There's a statement from Michigan. head football coach Sharon Moore has been terminated with cause, effective immediately following a university investigation. Credible evidence was found that Coach Moore engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. This conduct constitutes a clear violation of university policy, and maintains zero tolerance for such behavior. Biff Poggi has been appointed head football coach in an interim capacity, effective immediately.
Wow.
That's from Alejandro Zuna, who's got like 33. Yeah, so that's a real person. Okay. Just want to make sure I read some statement.
Not seeing if it's credible after you read
Maybe
it.
I should have, but he was credible. So.
Yeah.
No, he's my friend.
Yeah.
I like Alejandro a lot. He's a
Oh, you
good
like?
guy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's fun.
All right. So if I was wrong, it's your friend's fault.
No, you're right.
That's funny.
So inappropriate relationship.
That'll
Man.
do it.
That happened at Michigan State. It's happened at Michigan. What's going on in that part of the country? I don't know. That
Crazy.
can happen everywhere.
Somebody
sure,
said John Gruden is an option too.
Oh, yeah.
In the chat.
Yeah, but Biff Poggi? What a name.
Well,
I don't even know
he
who
has
that
some history. He's a longtime coach. He was the interim. Remember when Moore was suspended? He was the head coach.
Oh, yeah, when the interim coach gets suspended too. And they've had a lot of coaches suspensions. They've had some coaching problems at Michigan. Still winning, but with coaching problems.
Maybe Connor Stallions. They get him.
Yeah, he could.
Tom Brady.
He did have a manifesto. Tom Brady could step in. Although it's not really worked for him at the Raiders, so I don't know.
That would be.
He's doing a good job on TV, but
he is. That'd
to
be
be
crazy.
like a part owner in a franchise that's just spiraling the drain.
Yikes.
Yeah, well, some breaking news stuff. I do want to get into the Notre Dame stuff a little bit because we did get. So if you're watching, it's sort of like the Fighting Irish against the world, and I'll just give my point of view. I don't know if there's I was joking with Connor right or wrong or whatever, but I do feel that I feel like USC's drawn a line in the sand and is look, we're going to play you early in the season or not at all. And it hasn't been announced yet, but I feel like they're going to have a 2-year thing, and it'll be played for the next 2 years. And then after that is sort of TBD. But just for me, Connor, watching Notre Dame this year, they had 3 ranked opponents, USC being one of them, and they only won, one of those games. And the other 2 are the very beginning of the season. USC wants to move their game to the beginning of the season. I think it's harder and harder now for Notre Dame to play legitimate teams later in the season. And they had, Stanford used to be good, and they stink now. And I think for USC, it was it was always good. You could play October or November. Now USC's in the Big Ten. They don't want to deal with that. And I feel like this independence thing, a lot of people are taking offense to, and they're like, screw this. And they were getting the benefit of the doubt. They were ranked when they were 0-2, and they stayed above Miami. When Miami lost a couple games, everyone felt like, oh, Miami's going to lose more, and they didn't. And they kept getting a little bit closer. And then that final week where BYU was the only team in between them in the college football playoff rankings, and you knew BYU was going to either be in because they beat Texas Tech or move because they lost. And now you put them next to each other, and they switch. And that's exactly how I thought it would go. And I know Heather Dinich was all over this. She felt Notre Dame was going to be in. A lot of people did, and there was a lot of surprise, especially from Notre Dame. And they come out and they attack the ACC, who was really trying to promote Miami in the situation. They felt like they weren't being a good partner and all this stuff. But I'm not seeing a lot of sympathy for the Fighting Irish around the country. I think people are just look, join a conference. I get it. There's all these reasons why you don't want to. Too bad. You should do something like that. And I think the concerning thing that I saw was it's not even just getting the games, but if you watch the Navy game, they didn't play their starting quarterback against Notre Dame. They were like, this one doesn't matter. We're not trying. Pat Narduzzi came out and said the game doesn't matter. And they played like it didn't. And then they played tougher in other games. It just seems like it's not oh, this is some great thing. You get to play Notre Dame and stuff. People are sort of over it. And I feel that's where the sentiment is not in Notre Dame's favor. And they do have the new the new caveat next year. If it's a 12-team or a 14-team playoff, Notre Dame will get in if they're ranked 12 or above, and their schedule doesn't look very hard. They could probably get in there. But at some point, if the teams you're playing don't really care, they're not going to start their best players because they're worried about the conference that they're in. I feel like the writing's on the wall that this is just not going. Maybe they can hold out and keep going, but it just feels like it's going to be hard to keep going and be Notre Dame going forward. Because it seems like a lot of people are over it. I mean, Brett Yormark came out and had some strong words for the Big 12. They're not going there. Maybe the SEC or the Big 10 wants to bring them in as kind of a partner.
But they don't want to go.
And the ACC is like, there's a falling out there. And, so I don't know. Like, it just seems like they're kind of on an island, but that's not like a sympathetic island. Like, people are just like, okay, whatever. And even a lot of USC fans are like, we need to play this game. A lot of them now are just like, screw that. They need us more than them. Don't play them. So I don't know. I mean, it just seems like it's not, if this was a public perception, like Caesar put his thumbs up or thumbs down, we're getting a lot of thumbs down right now for Notre Dame.
I think two things can be true where they didn't deserve to get in this year because they lost those two games at the beginning of the year, but independence can still be a good thing for them. And I agree with what you're saying that, like, it's not good if Navy isn't even trying and putting in their backup quarterback, but I just push back on if the USC game goes away, they'll be in trouble because if they're locked in to the playoff, if they're in the top 12 and they have an easy schedule, they'll probably be in the top 12 most years, make the playoff, get a lot of revenue from that. So maybe we're heading down the path where they could be in some trouble down the line, but I still don't see it that way. I think no matter what happens, they're going to be able to schedule marquee games, and if they're only at the beginning of the season, that might not be in their best interest, but they still will get those games. So you play one or two of those, and then the rest of the schedule, if it's not that hard, is that necessarily a huge problem for them because they'll probably just win those games and then make the playoff and get their revenue. So from a battle-tested perspective, is it in their best interest? I think you probably want to be more battle-tested than they've been the past couple years. So that'll be something to pay attention to. But what is their goal? It's to make the playoff every year. And if they don't play USC, I still think they'll be in a good spot to play in the playoff. Hearing everything that you said, and I agree with a lot of it, but I don't think it's like, oh my God, they're totally screwed. Like, people aren't just not playing them now. They're going to be able to get games. If they're in the top 12, they'll make the playoff. They can keep doing what they're doing, but acknowledge that you didn't deserve to be in this year. My whole problem with Notre Dame right now is how they've responded and the bitchiness to missing the playoff. Like, you needed to go 2-1 in your 3 helmet games. You went 1-2. You lost to Miami. Miami always should have gotten in ahead of Notre Dame. The fact that was even a debate was embarrassing when they played head-to-head and they both had 2 losses. So I'm not happy with the response from them, but I don't think they're necessarily in trouble with how they're operating moving forward.
There's a funny comment. It says, sorry to interrupt, it says, someone on Twitter put it well, Notre Dame is an 8 that acts like a 10, and everyone is sick of their conceited behavior.
Yeah, and I think, and there's a lot of people that were shocked that, if they're in the top 12 next year, they're in. Now, that goes away if you go to a 16-team playoff, and maybe it expands. But I think going forward, people are looking at this like, why are we giving even the powers that be, like before, they were at the table to create the playoff and stuff. I'm not sure that they're going to get the treatment that they've got. They've got preferential treatment, and it seems like most people are sort of sick of it. And they're like, yeah, you're not going to get, you better be in the top whatever. Like, you just have to be like everybody else. So I don't know. I mean, I think not having USC on the schedule is going to make it even harder for them going forward. But I think it's, even with USC on the schedule, I think it's a harder road right now. There's not a lot of sympathy out there for the plight of trying to navigate this as an independent. And I think Jeremiah Love, if they were in a conference championship game, he probably would have, had a better chance to win the Heisman Trophy. He's a finalist, but I don't think he's going to win. And then the not playing in the bowl game too, and I get it.
That actually didn't bother me as much.
Really, I don't like it. I mean, I think it's an opportunity. I get your top players aren't going to play in it, but that happens for everybody. You want to give your young guys an opportunity, and the fact that you didn't get to play championship weekend, but you're a team that's up there, feels like you should be doing that. I mean, hey, get a bowl game, and the Pop-Tart Bowl is amazing. Like, that would have been like a lot of fun. So maybe they're trying to screw ESPN. No, I don't know, whatever. But like, there was a lot of stuff going on there. But I agree. I don't like the response. There is a, I don't know if it's an 8 acting like a 10. It's like a 6.5 acting like a 10 sometimes.
I mean, they played for the national title last year.
Yes, I know, but just there's a lot of just attitude that some people are over, and I think there was a lot more sympathy for Notre Dame before, and they got a lot of credit last year for making the run that they did and giving Ohio State a game. But the sort of actions this year where it's like, dude, you're 10-2 and the other team's 10-2 and they beat you. I'm sorry. Yeah, Vegas might have you as a favorite, but there's no way you can be put in there. And maybe it should have been Alabama moving down. The fact that they didn't move a spot after getting blown out and rushing for -3 yards against Georgia. Like, I get it's a conference championship game, but yours were -3 yards. Like, you were not competitive. You moved down a little bit. So I don't know, but I think the road's going to be tougher for Notre Dame going forward, and I think they need USC to be part of, which I think they will for the next couple of years. And I think the format's going to change and stuff too. When it does, I just don't know if Notre Dame's going to get the sort of special treatment that they've got to this point.
Sounds like our audio is pooping out, unfortunately.
What?
Yeah, you literally just got some chats.
Let me look real quick.
Should we take a break?
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, take a break.
We will return. Chats.
It's a 12-team or 14 people are looking at that at the table to create. Like, I think not having, like, dude, you're 10-2 and the other team's 10-2 and they beat you.
Sounds like this one's just going out a little bit.
Oh my. So it might have been mine. Not audio in general. Okay.
We are back.
Hopefully you can hear us okay. Or hear me okay specifically. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for some comments to
Me too.
come back.
Yeah. Check it out. Open mic.
Because they were just saying it's the audio, and then somebody mentioned about your audio.
Okay. Well, we're back here on the Peristyle Podcast.
Still bad.
Still bad?
Yeah.
What's bad? Like, give us bad. Like,
You're choppy.
my specific thing's choppy. Okay, let me try this.
We can hear you. The
Is it
audio
just me?
sounds
Like, let us
choppy.
know.
Ryan now is unplugging and plugging back in.
Check it out. Check. 1, 2, 3.
It sounds good to us. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it sounds okay.
Lucky Chan thinks it might be the software instead of the mics.
Somebody said it's lagging. Well,
Should
Okay.
we wrap up?
I guess. Well, we have some questions and stuff to get
Yeah.
to, but maybe we can wrap it up.
It's everyone's audio, not just you, Ryan.
Okay, that's good. Like,
like,
it is. We do like try to navigate this as we go, but then people have.
interesting. So, no, should we get into some questions or no?
No, I think we'd probably wrap it up.
Okay.
It's like.
Right? I don't know.
I can
Does
take
it
it- I
does
can
it record on the
I was gonna say I can take a photo of the
what's it called?
Oh yeah. Oh, look on Audacity. What does Audacity look like?
Audacity says
Check. 1, 2, 3. Are we looking like you see?
Oh, Mike on East Lake said the song during the break was choppy too. Has that ever happened?
No.
yeah. I was gonna say the audio on Audacity looks good.
Okay. Well, I guess we could answer the questions, and then if it's not working live on YouTube, we'll update the audio.
Yeah, sorry, YouTube people.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're talking through a fan.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Somebody said start talking about Notre Dame. Coincidence?
Maybe that's what it is. We'll try to do the questions quickly. If you're watching live on YouTube, sorry, that might not be coming out, but we'll put out the podcast, and I think that'll come out regular, I guess you could say. So we'll finish that stuff up.
we can fire them off quickly.
Yeah. Was there a voicemail or no?
Yes, there was.
All right, let's play the voicemail. Again, sorry, you live people.
Hey, Ryan. Notre Dame has taken their name off the eligibility list for bowl games since they didn't make the playoff. You're making a statement, playoffs or nothing, but it's stupid. You should play that game. Play the bowl game. It's like a spring game or a game against a team that doesn't matter. You can practice for next year. You can use players that you want to get ready. This is a great way to do it. What do you guys think? Curtis from Moreno Valley.
I agree, but don't you think Notre Dame views this snub like Florida State when they got spanked by Georgia and that totally tanked the whole Mike Norvell tenure at Florida State? Don't you run the risk if you do have that playoff or bust mindset, you bust, and then you don't get into, you don't get in, and you might lose the team, and you might, it could backfire, is all I'm saying. It takes a very specific situation to be bought in and, really have that mindset. I don't know if Notre Dame would have that mindset.
Yeah. All right. There was a couple of questions on the in the doc there. Did you see it?
Let's see. Let's see. I think I see him. Yeah.
Okay. You want to
yeah. Let's do it. Okay. I think this is one, or maybe not. Hold on. Actually, no, I don't see any emails on the doc.
Okay. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
Sorry, it was bunched up. Do you believe a 10-2 USC would have made the playoff with a win over Illinois? Assume everything else played out exactly as it did. I'm having a debate with my Trojan friends here, Scott in Houston.
And Scott's email is Tecmo Bowl Nose Guard, which is awesome. Like it's an old school video game. I think Ryan Karchik tweeted out that USC wouldn't have made it. I kind of thought they would, but the way, I guess it depends how the way things play out. Like USC would have been ranked higher if they'd started the season undefeated and their first loss was at Notre Dame, because they took a while for USC to get ranked, and then if they went on the road and beat what was a ranked Illinois team, even though they just got spanked the week before. I'm curious to see where that would have ended up.
If everything else went the same, I think they might have been out, right? Because Notre Dame would have had to have been in over them.
Yeah, they would have had the 10-2, and they would have been behind Notre Dame,
who was behind Miami and Alabama. So
yeah,
I thought a 10-2 Big Ten team would be in no matter what, and Shotgun was like, "You might be wrong," and I was like, "I'm not wrong." Shotgun might have been right.
Yeah, there ended up being a lot of 10-2. I mean, because even like Texas is making a push there, and they were not that close, but USC was still close. They were ended up 16 or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. So one more win though, but there was just the logjam ahead of them. It might have been tough. They just might have been on the outside looking in, which I didn't think would have been the case. The one above that too is Dylan Albuquerque.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that one now.
Okay.
All right, here we go. How is this a number one class with only one 5-star commit? Should we be worried about that? A quick look at the number one class the past few years. 2023, Alabama, 7 5-stars. 2024, Georgia, 5 5-stars. 2025, Texas, 5 5-stars. I honestly usually don't pay the closest attention to recruiting, so I was surprised to find only one 5-star when looking at the class this morning. I'm sure the total number of 4-stars is what makes it the number one class, but can you clarify and let me know if the lack of 5-stars means anything? Thanks, Dylan in Albuquerque.
I don't think it means anything too much. Like I believe that a lot of those guys will still be able to contribute. Do you wish you had 7 5-stars? Probably. So maybe it matters a little bit, but I still think that having the number one class is significant, and having that many 4-stars and that many high-level 4-stars is still really good. And I went through it earlier. I think a lot of those guys can still contribute. So in an ideal world, would you have landed more 5-stars? Yes, but I think this is like complaining about something you don't really need to be complaining about in my mind.
Yeah, I think Georgia had one. There was a couple other top 5-ish, 6-ish schools that only had one as well, if I remember correctly. So it wasn't just that. But yeah, I mean, you don't want to be complaining about the number one class. It's the number one class. There's a formula. It all matters,
And at the end of the day, sometimes rankings are just rankings. Some of these 4-star people can be 5-stars and be even better, and some of the 5-stars don't pan out either. So just see what they do when they get there.
I'm trying to get people to check out it's choppy over here too. Okay.
Oh,
Dang it. Sorry. Well, if you're listening to the podcast, you're like, what's going on? Well, somehow our live stream got choppy. I don't know exactly why. My apologies, but
You want to fire off the questions?
yeah,
Should
do
I
a
fire
couple
them
of
off?
the, and then we'll get out of here.
Uh,
We're gonna answer your questions in the chat,
defeating.
people. Yeah.
Sorry, let me see if I can. All right. First question: what is the word on the draft eligible players returning or going pro?
My opinion, I think Lemon is gone, Lane is gone, and I think Mayava comes back.
Cool. Quick one. If Maaba doesn't play, who's QBS
QB, who's like
starting? I think.
Longstreet, and then Heward would be the backup.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think he's gonna play.
This one. Let's see. Wouldn't you think DeCarlos needs this game for his future NFL dreams?
I don't know
Thoughts
if you
on the
need
future?
one game. There's one game, make or break it, if it's the Alamo Bowl. I mean,
Yeah.
if he has 3 picks, maybe, but I don't think he needs one game to showcase himself. He got invited to the Hula Bowl, which is like the Senior Bowl, but it's a lower level one. Like, if he gets drafted, it's going to be a low round pick regardless. He'll probably be an undrafted free agent in my eyes. So, I mean, it could help him, I guess, but things would really need to go his way for it to really matter, just one game.
Biggie for SC asks, how does the Notre Dame college football playoffs drama impact the 2026 scheduling with SC? Does it still get done? Related, is the contractual guarantee for Notre Dame in 2026 CFP if ranked 12 or better ridiculous?
I mean, maybe it's ridiculous, but they agreed to it, so
Yeah.
I get why they are proud of that. It's a big addition for them, and then.
But if they make it a
Schedule.
16-team playoff, then that goes away. So, but then you're just like, yeah,
If you're not in the top 16, then
yeah.
the first part, though, any updates on the schedule? You still seem to think the game's happening for sure.
I think the game's happening for sure the next 2 seasons. And then after that, I think it's still up in the air.
Cool. Another question. Any rumors on next year's non-conference games outside of Fresno State?
I think it's going to be like a cream puff game.
Green Buff and Notre Dame.
Cool. We've got like 4 more.
Okay.
Let's see. I have a question. Where does all this super chat money go? Ryan's runs to Trader Joe's.
Yes. Well, like 33% of it goes to YouTube. Yeah, but we got $1.99 today, so it'll be like $1.50 or $1.20 something. I'll
Nice.
yes,
Add it to the Trader Joe's haul.
yes, we'll do that.
3 more questions. We're just gonna fire these off. Given the fact we have a very difficult schedule next year, how heavy do the coaches need to hit the portal while at the same time having a philosophy to build from within? Might that hurt retention?
I think it's a strategy. And I'm curious to see what they do portal wise. I don't know retention. They're focused on retention, and they haven't had any guys. I don't think they want to bring somebody in if it's going to cause somebody to leave. But if it's an upgrade at the position, and that happens, I think you just have to go with it. But I have a feel they're going to try to get some guys that are impact guys. But I think there's an overall strategy that deals with bringing in developmental players and impact players, high school, bringing in impact players in the portal, and retaining the people that you feel are going to be a big part of the team's future. I think that all has to work together.
I would like to see him bring in 4 at a minimum guys who you would expect to have the chance to be, if not all conference, just really solid players in your rotation. Because they haven't really done that. They've hit on a couple of guys, but they've tried to bring in more, and it hasn't been great. I want them to focus on quality over quantity.
If you had to rank their biggest needs, like 1 through 4, 1 through 3, how would you rank it? Like linebackers first, or how would you rank?
In terms of what I'm talking about, where you can get the most impactful guy, I would say receiver 1, defensive end 2, linebacker is a consideration. So probably linebacker, and then somewhere in the secondary, probably more corner than safety, but maybe a corner or safety. I've gone back and forth on that. I like what they have in that room, but you can always get better if you can add a stud. So when in doubt, add the stud.
Ryan, same list for you? Or?
Yeah, I think that's I think you'd like to see that when you can. I mean, potentially an offensive lineman or something too. I mean, anywhere, if it's an impact guy and it's better than what you got, but I think it would be good, having a linebacker would be great. Like receiver, they might have more stuff internal that works out well, but if you can bring in a Jordan Addison kind of guy, like you can't bring in a Jay Fair kind of guy. Like you don't need that. You need a Jordan Addison kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't think you need just more bodies at receiver. Like they brought in a bunch of those guys, like Jaden Richardson or whatever. Like, no, you need Jordan Addison.
You need like an alpha.
Yeah.
Maybe a center too. That would be the other one.
Yeah, part of the offensive line. Yeah.
And then last question. Ryan, are you doing a meetup in San Antonio?
As of right now, no. I think it's going to be a weird one as far as coming in. I think Connor's going to come in day of the game, and I believe Shotgun will as well. So probably no meetup there.
There you go. That's it. That's all the questions.
All right. Well, we don't want to go too long because we have live audio issues, but hopefully everything's good on the podcast side. I'm really glad we recorded the audio separately, so I fix the audio. So if you're watching this on YouTube later,
He can do his magic.
I'll do my magic stuff. But yeah, I guess that'll wrap it up. Awesome job, India Otto, running the board through the problems. Triple double. Maybe it's India's problem. I don't know. I don't think it is. Triple double, of course. And I'm Ryan Abraham. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And